Hello, everyone. My name is Scott Walters, and this is another edition of the Walters Wanderings Travel Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about a much warmer climate than I am in here in New York today. We'll be talking about the area called Cancun and the Riviera Maya. It's really quite stunning. It's spectacular. I've been there once, and I want to go back again, but we have someone who is expatriated herself from Canada to be a citizen of that area and actually has forgotten more than most people remember about the area, and she'll tell us about some of the great highlights and some of the things to look for on your next vacation. And just remember that if you do book a vacation to Mexico, to Cancun and the Riviera Maya, we will, at Walters Wandering Travel, will get you to be in place for $50 of travel credit. You just simply have to go ahead and book 4 nights or more with me, and that's all good. So now we introduce our guest. Her name is Lori Gold, and again, I call her the Guru and Swami of the Cancun and Riviera Maya region. Lori, thank you for joining us on the Walters Wandering Travel Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Scott.
Now, tell me, how did you get so attracted to the area? What brought you there, and what was the magnet that keeps you there?
Well, it's probably around 12 years ago or so. I was always coming here for work trips, for different award ceremonies and things like that, and it just drew me in. I don't know, it just felt like home. The vibe, the people, the beaches, the food, it really just felt right. And I just decided to move. And that was it. I mean, I really just decided to move. And what's kept me here is, it's a place where people come and vacation. So it's a really happy place all the time. And it sort of always feels like you're on vacation. Even when you're inside working, you can look outside and see palm trees and maybe a toucan or something like that, maybe a monkey. So it's a magical place. It's so beautiful. It's unique. And it's close to home. It's close to Canada and a lot of other places in the world.
That's true. It was only a 4-hour and 20-minute flight for me from New York to get down to Cancun. And the airport there is actually pretty efficiently run for the most part, as far as international airports go. I mean, you always have your little issues and your quirks, but even when I went last year, and it was during COVID, so maybe that's a qualifier, it was actually pretty smooth sailing. And I must say that when you're leaving to go back home, I have to tell everyone, just a little travel hack, the duty-free shops and everything on the way out when you're leaving to go back to the U.S. or wherever you're going is really, really spectacular. It might be the best shopping you can get at an international airport. In fact, if I had known, I probably wouldn't have shopped in town.
Yeah, it's a great one.
It's really good. So let's start with some of the different types of places you can stay at in the region, because obviously it's big. I mean, it took me 45 minutes from the airport to where I was going, and there were resorts still further down the road. So it's not by any stretch a small region, and there certainly is a wide variety of places that you can stay. So let's talk about some of the places, some of the areas within the region, and what to look for when it comes to finding an accommodation that works for you.
Yeah, for sure. And, it is a huge area from Costa Mujeres to Tulum, which is sort of the main area in this destination. It's over 2.5 hours. So it's quite large. And within that, there's over 150 resorts and major hotels. So there are tons of places to stay. And that's why it's so important to work with a travel advisor who knows the area and can sort of direct you to the right place within the area. Because within the Riviera Maya and Cancun, there's all sorts of different destinations like Costa Mujeres and Playa Mujeres, the Cancun Hotel Zone, Puerto Morelos, Puerto Aventuras, Playa del Carmen, Akumal, Tulum, and so many other little areas within there. And there's amazing, huge resorts, boutique hotels, glamping, and everything in between. We have hostels to the most luxury hotels in the world. And there's really something for everyone. It just depends on, budget, what's important. If you want a high rise with amazing views, or you want something more tropical and lush. And really, there's so many different options here.
That's a good point, because you have to understand that there are so many different variables when planning a vacation. And no matter how much information a travel advisor like myself or you ferret out from a customer, there probably is going to be some detail that's going to be missed. So when it is time to plan for a trip, the more information you give the travel advisor, the better off they're going to be able to pinpoint the actual best place for you. And what's the other interesting thing is sometimes the best place that you think is the best place as a consumer may not actually be the best place for you after we do the qualifying. Do you have any stories like that where you had a customer who was really hell bent on getting to one destination, but you said no, 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 try this, and all of a sudden the light came on, and they had to send you a thank you note or something that was like you really hit the spot for me, and I didn't realize how good your advice was. Did you have any stories like that?
Well, just to back up a little bit, but you're so right, because there's so many options that people really get lost in them online, and they might go with what their friend wanted or what they saw on Instagram, but that might not be what's best for them. For example, if you want to do tons of excursions and you find an amazing hotel in the Playa Mujeres area, that's great, but you're nowhere near the excursion. So every day you're in the car for hours doing those excursions. So I don't have a specific story for resorts, but just in terms of the destination, I had a client that came to me specifically wanting to plan their trip around swimming with the whale sharks, which are here in the summer months from about May to September. And that was sort of going to be a highlight of their trip. And they wanted to plan where they were going to stay based on that. And once I explained the whale shark experience to them, they no longer wanted to swim with the whale sharks. And they were so happy that I had done it 3 times and I can explain to them how it went and the experience. And because of that, they changed the whole layout of their trip and where they were staying and what they were doing. So, it really does help to know everything that you are wanting to do and relay that to your travel advisor so that they can put you in the correct place and match you with the correct excursions, because there's so much to do here.
So let's talk about some of these excursions, because again, it is an all-encompassing place. You can do something as simple as find a golf course at your resort or nearby, or you can find something really, really intense like the cenotes and places that are really quite, they're indigenous to that region and you can't find them anywhere else. You can do a boat trip. Isla Major, whole box, or you can even take a trip out to the Cozumel Island if you wanted to. So explain how to find the best excursion in some of those different examples.
Yeah, there's so much to see and do here. It's insane. I just did a class talking about it for 2 hours, so we'll be here all day. So I'll just sort of rein it in. But like you said, there are 14 golf courses in this destination alone for people who like to golf. I think swimming with the whale sharks, it's not for everybody. It's a pretty intense experience, but it is very unique and amazing. They're the biggest fish in the sea, and this is one of maybe 3 places in the world and the best place in the world that you can swim with them. You mentioned cenotes, which are underground sinkholes, river systems that the ceilings they were caves, the ceilings collapsed, they were made of limestone. And those are super unique. There are 6,000 of them in this area. All are really different. You can do zip lining and jumping platforms. And speaking about zip lining, we have tons of adventure parks where you could go ATVing and zip lining through the jungle, bungee jumping, all sorts of crazy things like that. And then on top of that, we have incredible Mayan ruins. There's probably about 6 major ones within 2 hours of this destination. So, from culture to adventure to wildlife, snorkeling with sea turtles and visiting the Siancon biosphere. There's so much to do in this area.
Now, the other thing is you can actually just do very little. You can just sort of find a place that has a nice pool area, has a nice beach, has good drinks, has good entertainment, has good food. Because I deal most of the families, give me like the top 3 resorts that you would recommend for people who don't want to do any excursion type things, because I think it's really important for that audience as well.
For sure. So the first 2 that come to mind, one would be Hard Rock Riviera Maya. There's tons to do on property. They have a great new water park there that has slides for sort of every age category. And the second one that comes to mind is Planet Hollywood Cancun, which is actually in the Costa Mujeres area. Don't be fooled by its name. It's not in Cancun. That's why I use a travel advisor. And they have so much, they have mini golf and they have a flow rider and a movie theater, like tons going on there that you don't need to leave the resort. And then the third one, you sort of do have to leave the resort because that's the point, but it would be Hotel Xcaret. And with that hotel, you have access to all the Xcaret parks in the area, which are eco parks focused on adventure. They have one focused on just water, like snorkeling and water activities, one focused more on culture and animals. So you are leaving the resort, but everything's included for you. Now, they do have things to do on site as well. You don't have to leave the resort. They have a gorgeous resort with paddleboarding and kayaking and a great kids club and slides and things like that. But if you do want to leave the resort a little bit, but sort of have everything included, that's the perfect option.
So, and then obviously you said there's 14 golf courses. As a matter of fact, the PGA is playing right now at the most famous course in the whole area, the Mayakoba course. I actually played at the course that they qualify for that on, which is just up the road at the Riviera Star. And those are good, solid courses for golf. And obviously there's other golf courses. There's lots of tennis if you want to do that. Do it early in the day, though, because it can get hot. But I think the essence of what happens there is based on, obviously the culture and the food and all that. Now, let's say you wanted to go into town, into Cancun proper, the city. What things should we look for there?
Well, most tourists wouldn't go into Cancun proper. They would just go into the hotel zone, which is where they would probably be staying. And in the hotel zone, there's shopping and dining and things like that. But I really haven't even been to Cancun proper myself, just to go to Costco. So there's not too much for tourists in that area. There are other towns that I would recommend over going to Cancun. Cancun is a big city with 1 million people. I mean, it's not somewhere that there's really much to see or do, but Playa del Carmen is a smaller town. It's on the beach and it's totally walkable. And there's one main street there called Fifth Avenue that is a pedestrian street. It's closed off to cars and it's filled with shops and restaurants and people watching and, little shops that you can buy things to bring home and everything like that. So it's a really cool place to just walk around and have a drink or have a bite there as well.
Well, it all sounds great. I'm going to let you go because I know you're a busy lady. I'm a busy guy. I'm in my car doing this today. I've got my daughter just coming in. So we're going to wrap up this edition of the Walters Wanderings Travel Podcast. I do thank you for popping on a little bite of the Cancun and Riviera Maya region, which is great. I'll have you on again to talk about some more specifics. We'll do that another time. So I thank you so much for being on. And again, if you book a trip through Walters Wanderings Travel, you can get $50 in future travel credit if you book a 4-day or longer stay in that region. Lori, thank you so much for being on board today. I appreciate it. And everyone else, thank you for listening to another edition of the Walters Wanderings Travel Podcast. We'll catch you real soon.